took a decision to strike Iran, destroying their nuclear sites. This has led to a lot of increase, a hike in crude oil prices globally. Crude has risen from around $60 to about $79 the last time I checked, and experts are saying it might even go further. According to JP Morgan, worst case scenario, we might have it rising to as much as $120 per barrel. After the U.S. strikes over Israel, over Iran's nuclear sites over the weekend, just yesterday, Iran responded by launching a barrage of missiles at a U.S. base in Qatar. The U.S. has a base in Qatar close to Doha that hosts about 8,000 U.S. troops. It is actually U.S. headquarters for their operations in the Middle East. So Iran launched some missiles at them, but thankfully, majority of those projectiles were intercepted by Qatari air defense system. I'd like you to take a look at what exactly took place yesterday over the airspace in Qatar. That was it right there. Iran launching missiles at a U.S. airbase in Qatar. And you could see Qatari missile interceptors intercepting those missiles right there. Thankfully, no casualties were recorded according to the Qatari government and also according to U.S. officials. Coming back to the global crisis and how it affects us here as Nigerians. Crude prices, for instance. A lot of filling stations have started increasing, adjusting their pump prices. And here is why. Dangote itself, Dangote has adjusted its gantry price from 825 naira to 880 naira. That's a 50 naira increase. So a lot of filling stations across the nation have started adjusting their pump prices. So Nigerians, experts are saying Nigerians should brace for hike in fuel prices. But why is it so? Let us look at Iran, for instance. Iran is very critical when it comes to crude oil in the world. Iran is the world's third largest producer of crude. Of course, they have their biggest customer as China. China is the biggest customer of Iran when it comes to crude oil. Now, Iran is the third largest producer. Iran also exports about 21 million barrels per day of crude oil. Compare that to Nigeria's production of just between 1.5 to 1.7 million barrels, total production, both the one we export and the one we consume locally. Now Iran exports 21 million barrels per day. As a result of the crisis, Iran has recently voted, I think yesterday they voted to close the Straits of Hormuz. The Straits of Hormuz is very critical to the oil sector, to the global oil sector, because that is where one quarter of the world's crude is transported through the Straits of Hormuz. So if Iran should close the Straits of Hormuz, it will affect global oil prices. We should expect to see further rise in crude oil prices globally. Coming back to Nigeria, how does it affect us? Dangote, like I said, have adjusted their gantry price from 825 to 855. The question is, why is it so? A lot of experts are arguing that no matter what happens in the global space, it shouldn't really affect us in Nigeria. But Dangote had to adjust, rightfully so, because Dangote is still importing fuel from the United States. So that's his argument. He has no choice than to adjust his fuel prices. Let's take a look at some of the statistics right here. Some organizations, some filling stations in Abuja are already selling for 955 naira. There are some filling stations in Abuja already selling fuel at 955 naira. Some between, of course, in Abuja, major independent marketers have increased their fuel price, adjusted to 955 naira. We have organizations like AP, Mobile, Eternal, and AYM already selling for 955 naira. In other parts of the country as well, we've also seen that increase. Joining us on the conversation this morning is Mr. Jose Aseda, an investment banker and economic analyst. Thank you, Mr. Aseda, for joining us on the program this morning.
Happy to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure having you once again.
Yeah.
Mr. Aseda, as a result of the events globally, price of crude has gone up and it is beginning to affect Nigerians. Some experts are warning organizations like IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, are warning that pump prices might go up in Nigeria. In fact, a lot of filling stations have started adjusting their pump prices. Some residents, some filling stations, some road users actually complained that what these filling stations do is that they still leave the old price on their banners, but when you get close, when you drive in to purchase fuel, that is when you realize that the price on the meter has changed. They have adjusted. Mr. Aseda, as Nigerians, should this really be affecting us? Some experts have argued that no matter what happens in the global space, if we have a mammoth-sized refinery in Nigeria, talking about Dangote refinery, that can actually produce 650,000 barrels per day, and we have crude oil, why are we still importing fuel? Because if we are not importing fuel, it should not affect local prices in Nigeria. What's your opinion on that? Mr. Aseda, are you with us?
Yes, there are.
I guess we're having, yes, just technical issues. We'll try to resolve that as fast as possible.
So much to really talk about on the international space. The concern of Nigeria, some of the concerns are that why should Nigerians be adversely affected with what is going on in Iran? And these are some of the issues, because it is. Mr. Aseda, are you with us now?
Yes, I am.
If you had a question, please go ahead.
I didn't catch the question very well.
Okay. I was talking about the fuel price hike in Nigeria. Filling stations starting to adjust their pump prices. Dangote has, of course, adjusted gantry price from 825 to 880, a 55 naira increase. And other filling stations naturally have to follow suit by adjusting their pump prices. So the question is, why should it affect us in Nigeria at this point? Some experts have argued that no matter what happens in the global space, that it shouldn't really be affecting us in Nigeria. What's your own opinion on that?
Well, you know, we have not been able to put our hearts together, especially as regards to managing our exports and internal use of crude. Okay, so, you know, Nigeria has been importing finished products, as in petroleum products, for over 25 years. So we have not been really supplying crude to for internal refinery purposes for a very long time. So right now you have Dangote refinery that is on board right now. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's less than 1 year that since it started producing enough to be able to supply the Nigeria market. And then, of course, you know, much of the time that they've been producing at the beginning, you know, we have been having issues with supplies from NNPCL to Dangote refinery, a lot of pushback here and there, you know. So, and then again, we also, the issue of the denomination of the payments, whether it's going to be Naira or dollars. So, because if Dangote, for example, is buying it in dollar rates, and you know, in dollars, then it's not really, it wouldn't be as impactful as it should be on Naira. But then still, we are not having, you know, there's still the back and forth before eventually be able to come up with the Naira deal for the payments for crude supply, local crude supply to Dangote refineries, and yet it's not enough. You know that the Nigerian crude has been tied to loans. You understand? It's like a guarantee. We have sold most of our crude,
forward contracts. Mr. You're talking about forward contracts, right?
Yes. You know, so I'm trying to break it down for the layman. So we have sold, we have bought. I mean, we have sold those crude in advance. So it makes it difficult for NNPCL or to be able to supply local refinery because they're just coming on the stream. But I believe that by now the Nigerian government ought to have sorted that out. It is not. You know, it's not right. It's not conducive, you know, for issues to be happening in international market such as this, and Nigeria being a major crude producer is having issues, you know, is feeling the impact. You know, it means that we are not running our economy very well. So basically, the reason why this is happening is because Dangote is importing crude from mostly the United States of America and some other places to be able to feed its refinery and supply the Nigerian market. So if the price of crude oil goes up in the international market, definitely it will affect you know, the eventual you know, cost of production for Dangote, and of course it's going to forward the increment to the buyers. So that's basically what's happening, and I think it shouldn't be happening. I think it's something that we could work on. Whenever the world is catching cold, whenever the world is sneezing, Nigeria economy should not be catching cold. I don't think that's the way to go for any government in the world. When things are happening in the world, you should be able to have a buffer that protects your economy from whatever is happening out there.
All right, so much to really talk about. Now, it's a global problem, right? Now, happening between, you know, some of these nations. So how does it affect us? These are the issues, because as it is right now, the effect have taken off already. Around here in Oshobo, people already reporting 925, 930, 935. That is of yesterday. And many persons that are saying that it might get worse, actually, because until that issues die down. Now, the question, I think Daniel had part of it, is we understand on this program, we have spoken to experts, and they told us there should be the home quota. There is something called home quota, especially by all the countries that are OPEC members, the countries that produce fuel, you know, oil producing nations of the world. So what has happened to Nigeria's own quota? We understand our OPEC quota should even be above 2 million, and we are doing far below that at the moment. And these are the issues. Is it that Nigerians, or Nigeria as a people, as our oil producing nation, doesn't have their own quota again? Or it's just inefficiency, or the global phenomenon in the oil sector, you know, the own quota doesn't have anything on it? Please let us into that.
You know, for what it's worth, Nigeria should be, you know, the OPEC quota, we are not meeting it.
Mm.
That, I think you've already mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
So that aside, so if you're not meeting your OPEC quota, which is like a limitation on what you could produce, and you're not able to even meet that, so you cannot even begin to talk about excess. You know, when you're talking about home quota, you're talking about excess production. For some time now, we have not been producing enough. Okay, let's just say we are not we are not I can't believe that we are saying we are not producing enough. That's my point. And, you know, I believe that we're producing excess of what is required, or excess of excess of the OPEC quota. Nigeria should be producing that. You know, for what is what, I used to work. My first job after leaving the business school is to work in an oil servicing company. And I remember that the company I worked with as a corporate strategy, as a corporate planning and strategy head, is servicing an oil field, an oil field on the sea, and it's called Okori oil field. We are talking about multiple, I mean, tens, maybe scores of oil rigs on the sea that my company was servicing, and I was in charge of it. At some point, I was doing the planning, and later I became the chief operating officer. That's just my job to oversee this project. Okay,
right.
And apart from that, we had another project. That was with Mobile. You know, we had another project with Adax Oil. I believe that Adax Oil has been taken over by a Chinese company right now. And we had the job that we had with them was to connect an oil head, a wellhead, to an FPSO. It's like a floating storage for crude using flexible flow lines. That was a major project, and that project is like $360 million worth of project. I'm talking about 2020. I mean, I'm talking about 2011. Okay, that was the project. So, and you have all of these kind of projects all over the place, and you are telling me that we're not producing enough.
So
in the
Mr.
time that we are having, the unrest in the Niger Delta area, you understand? You might say, okay, it's because of the unrest in the Niger Delta area. That's why we're not producing enough. But you see.
Are you, Mr. Aseda, are you saying it's not hold on, sir. Are you saying it's not a question of not producing is enough, or is a question of that we are not accountable? If you had my question.
Accountability. I'm talking about theft. Theft. You know, these allegations have been flying here and there. The Nigerian Navy has been accused by this guy that has Tomolo and his crew. And you know, then you have people also accusing Tomolo and his crew of stealing. So you have all of these things going on. No, we are not. You see, my problem is that look, we're trying to do things, and at the same time, we're not arresting corruption. Corruption is arresting efforts after efforts by successive governments, and some of this corruption is also being perpetrated by the people in those governments.
All right, Mr. Aseda.
So where we have right now is because there's so much of the Nigerian petroleum sector. That sector needed to be looked into. So see, these are things that you can pick it here and there in the news and and so on and so forth. But for me, what we could do is to appeal to the government of the day and to say, look, this is too much. It's like we're trying to build a house, and we are taking a hammer to that house at the same time. And sledgehammer to the house, like you're putting blocks, you are applying sledgehammer to the walls that you are building, maybe from another side. And how is the building going to get built? So that's where we are. And I'm really, really, really appealing that look, for what is what, we must take care of corruption in this country.
All right.
If I've not been in that industry, if I've not played in that industry before, as a professional, I probably would not know what I know. And I'm telling you, a lot of projects are going on in that industry. A lot of, I mean, NNPC. Look, just sending, you know, I think we have had.
All right, Mr. Aseda, I think we lost you there. I just hope we establish connection shortly. He has said...
They've got it.
Mr. Aseda, are you with us?
Yes, I think. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, we lost you for a few seconds. Okay, you said it all, Mr. Aseda. According to you, you're an expert. You've been on the field. You've seen Nigeria's capacity. So the problem we are having is actually not production. Shouldn't be about production. Let's be logical. Let's look at it from this angle. You talked about corruption. Let's look at it from that angle. From the angle of corruption, talk about leadership in Nigeria, accountability of our leaders. Just yesterday, former NNPCL CFO, that's their chief financial officer, was arrested, Umar Issa, for a fraud, alleged fraud of $7.2 billion. He was arrested by the EFCC. $7.2 billion relating to Port Harcourt, Kaduna, and Warri refineries. These refineries have not been producing. Now you talked about theft, oil theft in Nigeria. Nigeria is losing so much to oil theft in the Niger Delta.
Yeah.
So ideally, our problem should not be production. Because experts have argued that if our leaders in Nigeria are doing the right thing, we have no business suffering as Nigerians, regardless of whatever happens, whatever plays out in the global space. Even if oil becomes $120 per barrel in the global space, we have crude here. If we are refining locally, then our citizens should not be paying for it. You, Mr. Aseda, you said it on this platform before, that fuel can actually sell for as low as 300 naira in Nigeria. In your own opinion, what should the Nigerian government be doing right now? Instead of complaining that crude prices have gone up globally, what can we do locally to ensure that we are not paying for it? Because we have what it takes. Like you said, we have the resources, we have the capacity to produce. Then what exactly is wrong with us? What should we be doing differently just to ensure that we're not paying the price for it?
You know, for me, I think it is very straightforward. Our leaders know exactly what to do. To produce, I'm telling you, it's not a big deal. You know, we have not been having issues in the Niger Delta like before, when you are having, you know, the unrest, the militancy and all that. These things are not going on there anymore. There's absolutely no reason why we should not be producing as much as we should, okay? As much as we could. And I'm saying it loud and clear, and there we have people who have been in that area, have left that industry a while ago, and when, you know, we have news that are coming in every now and then. You know, you have accusation and counter accusation. Even the Nigerian Navy is also being accused of illegal oil bunkering and so on and so forth. So, you know, these are things that are going on. We know these things, but we know these things are going on. We don't have the data of how much is being stolen. Maybe some people do. We don't know. Even the IOCs too are not completely clean, you know, about with regards to these things. So, but for me, I think what the Nigerian government should do is to put Nigeria first. A lot of people said, you know what, that I like Trump. You know why I like him? I'm prophesying with my likeness of him. That I want a leader like that for Nigeria that will put Nigeria first, make Nigeria great again. Do you understand? I am praying for that. I want that kind of leader. Just put Nigeria first by 15% of what Trump is doing, and we'll not be discussing this kind of issues at all. So for me, our leaders know what to do. Ensure that you have local supply. I know, well, you know, because we're just coming back into local domestic refining of product. So maybe that's why it's going to take us some time to get around get around it and ensure that we have a smooth, you know, supplies to the local refineries. You know, maybe it's because we have not done that in a long time, so it's creating a problem for us because that channel has been closed. So maybe with time, more of that channel will be opening up the impact of increase in fuel prices is beyond the vehicles on the road. You know, majority of Nigerians do not have electricity.
Right.
You know, the electricity supply that we have in Nigeria is a fraction of what is required, and yet the economy is moving. Well, not as should, and not as it should. It should have. If the only source of power supply, electricity is the power generated in Nigeria. If that's the only source that we have, Nigerian economy will have grounded to an halt.
All right.
But right now we are not halting. That's because we have petroleum products to produce power for us, electricity for us. So it is also an engine for production. For production and services in Nigeria. So when the government look at these things, and then you know, in fact, the government is asking, oh, we want to generate more taxes. These are ways. I mean, once the economy is moving, the government generally will generate more taxes. So I think this is one area that the government needs to focus on, so that the government will benefit, the people of this country will benefit. For me, it's just an appeal. The Nigerian government know exactly what to do. If they want to fix this problem, it will not take them up to 2 months to fix it. So what we can do is to appeal to them.
All right.
Please create a channel for local supply. For supply of food to local refineries on stopped, channel, and make sure that it's not paid for in dollars, it's paid for in naira, so that Nigerian people can benefit from the crude that belongs to them.
Now, so many questions needs to be asked, and there are answers that are needed, especially in the day-to-day working. You made a very salient point there by saying this increase in pump that we are seeing is not just for motorists. There is a ripple effect that goes around, moving of products from one place to the other, personnel from one place to the other, and all of these things. And we are all based economy, the kind that we run here. Now, the reality has dawned upon us is the fact that even if there is no Iran, Israel, the US, Yemen, Houthi, Debekul, and all of these things, something is fundamentally wrong, in the way we run our business. Actually, it was Yakubu earlier, and then Shone, I think the man resigned, left a few weeks ago, days ago now. There are fundamental issues that need to be treated here. But as of today's reality, this is where we are. Until the war is called off, maybe today or tomorrow or next week, there are, lights on the horizon that maybe things will get better. This is where we are right now. We need practical solutions. You have been appealing. You have appealed again this morning to the people in charge that they should do what they are supposed to do. And it wouldn't take 2 months if actually we are serious. But now, you know how things run in Nigeria. Sometimes the moment this thing goes up, you might not be sure that it will come down again with what you are seeing, but all of those things will be after this break. My question when we come back is this: in the immediate, what can we do, and how can Nigerians adjust? And then knowing fully well there is the Nigerian problem, and I explained that there is the way that the moment we see that something might increase, or there might be an increase in the price of one product or the other, the Nigerian nature, the Nigerianness come into it, and everybody starts strangulating one another, economically speaking. How do we, manage this particular period that we are? Because it seems the last has not been had. But I will allow you to respond to that. That will be after this break. Please kindly hang in there. Stay with us.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as they break with facts and clarity? Our news are reported as it is.
In Africa, and all those who masterminded the way it happened will have to pay a price.
Enjoy Western programs, projecting culture and tradition to the world. Brought to you as The Break and recapped every hour for your update.
Fellow Nigerians, how to improve your welfare is of paramount importance to me.
Produced and brought to you in a unique way never before seen.
Western Spring
And Western Spring Television. Television is coming home in your color and culture.
Thank you for staying with us. We have Mr. Jose Aseda with us, and of course we are talking about how do we manage this time that there is unrest in the Middle East and all of those international dimensions as far as our economy is concerned and all of these things. Now, I asked the question before the break, and is how do we manage this thing? Now, there is the international dimension. And the kind of oil sector that we have, this is all we can have for now. The price is increasing. What can Nigerians do? What can marketers do? What can NNPCL do? That's my question, Mr. Aseda.
Now, well, before we went a break, we were talking about how Nigeria reacts when something's about to happen, maybe prices go. Let me say this. That is the market for you. Nigeria is not peculiar to Nigeria.
Right.
That's the truth. It is how human beings react to economic issues. You will understand that. Look, okay, so I bought this bag of maybe flour, for example. I bought it for maybe 5,000 naira, and then I bought maybe 100 of it, and I just sold maybe 20 of it, and I heard that the price has gone up. You understand? Or it's about to go up to maybe 500 naira added to it, maybe 550. So immediately what I would do is to stop what I'm selling, is to put a pause to it. And then once I know that this is what is happening, then I adjusted. Remember, I bought it for 5,000. I'm supposed to sell it for 5,000. Now the price has gone up. So I will now adjust to the new price. Because you know what? After I finish selling, I'm going to go back to the market. Do you understand?
Right.
And I'm going to buy it at the rate of that 5,500. You understand? So otherwise, I will suffer a loss. So the market is perfect. So the market reacts to information, and it is worldwide. So when you have this war going on, you see the Dow Jones goes down, this other one goes down, that one goes down. So it's
so how do we manage this time right now?
So for me, for us to manage as individuals, my advice is that whatever you have to do, you have to do. You have to go to work. If maybe you have an increase in transportation, you have to do what you have to do, so that you can make a living. Okay. So, but as far as I'm concerned, I think our people knows exactly what to do when it comes to this kind of situation. We have been in this situation before, but you see, it is our government that really need to do something. Then, of course, employers of laborers, may also begin to think about, okay, maybe when this is going on, let's reduce the number of times that our people have to come to work. Maybe
Mr. Aseda, I'm sorry to butt in. For you to understand my context, perhaps if I'm just to paint it, if Nigeria has the money, isn't this time now that subsidy should come in? Wouldn't you recommend that?
Well, you know what? Every time we heard the word subsidy, it brings a bad vibe, not so good vibe, because we have we have bastardized it. Subsidy should be a form of, a catching net for people, that don't allow people to fall. It's like a form of social responsibility of the government to the people of the country. Yeah, for me, I will tell you this. Subsidy should have helped us. It has not helped us. Okay? Because subsidy is given to us from one end and is taken back through corruption through another end. So what I would just say is that let the government do what they should do. Let the Nigerian economy be independent of happenings in the international market. For example, around 1999, when you have the subprime problem in the US, it affected Nigeria. The Nigerian stock has not recovered since that time. It has not recovered since that time. It crashed the Nigerian stock market. And why would something that's happening so far away be affecting the Nigerian market? It means that our economy is vulnerable. It's dependent. We need to do more in regulating it. We need to do more in ensuring that we have a buffer between Nigeria and between the Nigerian economy and the economy in the international at the international level. In fact, it's not even international. It's not like everywhere. It's just like maybe a couple of countries are feeling the impact, and then they are sneezing and we are catching cold in Nigeria. That should not be it. So for me, I think the Nigerian government knows what to do, and I keep saying it. They knows what to do, because if we are saying that, oh, this is what they should do, this is what they know exactly what to do.
All right.
I'm telling the truth.
All right, Mr.
And the appeal is that do what they have to do.
All right, Mr. Aseda. Just last week, Mr. Aseda, I just wanted you to refresh your memory. Right on this platform last week, we had a conversation concerning Dangote's intention to start playing in the downstream sector, to start distributing fuel directly to filling stations, to large consumers like manufacturers, telecommunications industries, and whoever can purchase, whoever can buy up to 500,000 liters, we actually get a credit facility of additional 500,000 liters. You saw it, Mr. Aseda, you saw it as monopoly. Other experts saw it as vertical. Other experts saw it as vertical integration. You were raising your fears, your concerns regarding a monopoly-like position, while other experts were seeing it as just a vertical integration. Now, let's look at this from this angle, Mr. Aseda. Now, globally, crude prices have gone up. Dangote has no choice than to adjust his gantry price from 825 to 880 because he is importing, easily importing. As Dangote has adjusted to 880, that's a 55 naira increase. Mr. Aseda, we have so many middlemen in the downstream sector. A lot of filling stations have started adjusting their pump prices, and some analysts are saying it might start going for up to 1,000 naira and above per liter in Nigeria, simply because of all these middlemen. Now, Mr. Aseda, don't you think that this is the right time to support Dangote's initiative? Because if Dangote eliminates these middlemen by direct distribution, which some bodies like Petron have kicked against, but Ipman actually says it's a welcome development. Don't you think this is a time to support Dangote in his bid to start direct fuel distribution, cutting down on the middlemen and reducing the costs to end users in the process?
Yeah, I also mentioned last week that, whatever Dangote is doing, the enjoyment, the advantages for the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian, Nigerian people, especially those in the industry, it's short term. Yeah, it's something that you can enjoy in the short term. And I did not say that it's monopoly. It is a monopolistic tendency. It's tending towards monopoly. It doesn't have to get there before we shout. Do you understand?
Yes.
And that is us. That is me and people like me being proactive. Vertical integration, backward integration, forward integration. What are you trying to do? By the time you're talking about that one, you're already talking about another industry. You understand? So you are getting from your own industry moving to another industry. Okay, so that's what it is. And then, of course, by the time you are doing what you are doing, you are closing out everybody else. Or you are
but Mr. Aseda, sorry to cut in. Sorry to cut in. Do you think we have better options at this time? That's the point. Do you think we have better options?
For me, I'm telling you, it looks as if Dangote idea or Dangote's position is a good one at this time. It looks as if it is. And I cannot tell you that, oh, it's not good. It is. I can't see something that is right and say it's not right, or something that is black and say it's white. But I'm just saying that, look, for this time, it is good. But going forward, it's not. It won't be good. And I'm saying that, look, if Dangote goes in right now, this kind of situation is what we ensure that monopoly actually takes place. Because at this time, everybody needs him, comes in, and then he solidifies his hold on the industry. Imagine 500,000 liter, you pay for it, 500,000 liter, you get it on credit. Who wouldn't like that? Every businessman would like that. Okay, so that's very good deal for Ipman. Okay, and then for those people for the other people who are importing petrochem or whatever they are, and other places, other people, you know, they are swept out of the way and put aside. You understand? And I'm understanding even before. I'm sure this conflict in the Middle East has scattered a lot of plans for those importers, because they want to import. They're asking. They are making deals for cheaper, you know, petroleum product to come into the country. And then we begin to, you know, we will come to that place and we ask that question. That, okay, so there's no subsidy and now you can reduce the price. So what has been happening all this while? So the subsidy is a scam, We're going to ask them that question when we get to that place, you know. So, but well, maybe thankfully for them, so that maybe we know. So that fortunately for them, you know, that people like me will not be on their cases by the time they start bringing in cheaper petroleum products into the country, and because of Dangote refinery is dropping the prices. We like that competition; it's good, you know. But I would have loved it if the competition is coming from Nigeria, you know, local competition. That is what is good for us, and then we drop the prices of things. But as it is right now, if Dangote will be doing that, I think it's good.
It should be a good idea for now.
But yeah, for now, yeah. So what we expect for the government to do, and which I will say is that create a framework. Create a framework for other players to be able to come in that will not have complete dominance of the distribution channel. That is the main thing, though. When you have control of the distribution channel, you've locked down the industry.
Absolutely.
Nigeria will be at the mercy of Dangote. So let's create that framework that will allow other players to come in, so that there will be competition, and then everybody will be able to. Nigerian people will be better off for it.
All right, Mr. Aseda. Yeah, Mr. Aseda, like you rightly said, at this point, it is one of our best options. It is a good option for us, because if he has the capacity to do that, I'm just looking at it from the angle of the end users, to gain price reduction for end users, which Dangote has the capacity to do right now. Now, let's go back to subsidy. Mr. Aseda, you just mentioned subsidy. Subsidy is actually supposed to, you know, relieve the pains of the people. If subsidy is well managed, Mr. Aseda, don't you think Nigerians should even benefit for increasing crude prices globally? If crude prices should go up to, say, up to $100 or $120 per barrel, and we are exporting, it means more money for Nigeria. That's exactly what it means. And the essence of subsidy, the idea of subsidy, is to use the excess money to ameliorate the sufferings of the people. So don't you think the removal of subsidy might actually, the total removal might have been ill-planned or not well managed, because if we see a subsidy and crude prices globally go up, then of course we shouldn't be suffering as Nigerians.
You know, for me, I think, you know, the subsidy regime, you know, if you go to other places in the world, you have the Social Security in the United States of America. They also have tax backs, even in the US. Canada has its own, the UK has their own, other countries of the world have their own. What do we have in Nigeria? We don't have. The only thing that we have that is like social security, you know, a kind of social net, is the subsidy. That subsidy is not well managed. It's riddled with corruption. This we know. The removal of the subsidy, well, I've said this before many times over. It is hastily done. It is wrongfully done. It shouldn't have been done the way it was done. Yes, subsidy must go. Well, subsidy scheme as it was running used to need to go, but you know, but you cannot do that without understanding what exactly is happening in that place. It is because, you know, I will say this because our leaders don't care about Nigerians. Because if you care about us and like we're your siblings or your children, you won't do that. You will want to understand what exactly is going on. Because again, like we said, subsidy is something that should be done. You understand? If you go to Qatar, the Qatari citizens are enjoying some level of subsidy.
Absolutely.
The Iranians are enjoying some level of subsidy. The Libyans, before the destruction of the regime of Muammar Gaddafi and his death, the Libyans are enjoying a level of subsidy, you know, from their crude oil. Saudi, the same thing. Abu Dhabi and other places, you know, Dubai. So all of these places are enjoying a level of subsidies, you know, in one way or the other. So social security is a level of subsidy. So these are things that. So when the World Bank and the IMF is telling us to remove these things, what they are telling us to do is to put our people in problem and not care about our people, which we should. But we know why they are asking it. We too, we know. It's because there's corruption in that regime. That corruption is what needed to be taken out. So, however, you know what? I don't want to hear subsidy right now because we don't need it. The Nigerian government has not been taking care of us. Come, let's take care of ourselves. Okay, let them hold their subsidy. Just make the product available. You understand? How much we don't have electricity. We have to generate our own electricity. We don't have water. We have to dig boreholes for our own water. Our roads are bad. We have to. You will see people on the road putting things in it to try to take care of it. Let them hold their subsidy. The only thing we're asking, let the product be available.
All right.
That's why we ask. That's why I never like the issue of these public government-owned refineries. Let it be sold. As a matter of fact, sell it for $1 to somebody that can do it. Let them use their money to fix it and then get it running.
If it's being sold, if it's being sold for $1, then it will be oversubscribed.
Even Mr. Aseda will buy it. Even Mr. Aseda will buy the refinery.
All right, you know, beyond oil, Mr. Aseda, if you can hear me, sir.
The only criteria for who to sell it to would be technical ability to fix it.
We understand. Now,
so it's not the issue of money.
Right.
So all this, look at this person now, $7.2 billion fraud by one man. That is crazy.
As law we have it, it's still allegations. All right. Now, let's broaden. I will want to broaden the conversation because we are at the home stretch right now. Beyond the issue of oil. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, you know, it's very significant in trade. Oil, you know, exportation, importation, world trade, and all of those things. Heavy vessel passing through that particular strait. And because of the consequences of what is going on, and you know, countries have to pick sides right now. Iran has voted that yes, let it be closed or let it be managed. The Houthis in Yemen even as a country have said, you know, anything American or Israel should not pass through the strait. You know, there is another route that is longer and, of course, consequently become more expensive to these. Now, we saw it in the Israel war against Gaza as well, when that particular strait was a bit closed, and there were, you know, missile attack and all the vessels passing through that place that are Gaza and Palestine, all of those things. Now, the same thing is about to happen now. Yemen is saying, please don't pass through our strait. The Houthis are saying we are ready to do all of these. How significant would that be for world trade as far as Nigeria is concerned? Now, this is not just about oil. That has to do with importation, landing cost, and all of those things. As far as this nation, you know, these are nations, so we must first talk Nigeria. But then this has an international dimension. That Strait of Hormuz, very significant, is being closed, so to speak. How would that affect us as a nation? And do you think our people, if I can know this in Oshogbo, you know that in Ibadan or Lagos, my colleague knows that people at the villa, people at the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Trade, CBN, and the National Economic Council, they have this information. How do we plan for this? But firstly, will it affect us as a nation?
You know, it will. It will. You know, it will. You know, it will. Definitely will.
In what way?
Because everybody is connected somehow, some way or another. You know, the world is becoming smaller by the day. You know, what we are saying really is that whenever issues like this are happening in the world, there should be a buffer, between the Nigerian economy and the international economy that will, that will not allow, the full impact of what is happening in the world to have, to be upon Nigeria. And that's something that this government can work on, okay? But as it is, what is happening is going to definitely affect us. That is a major international route. To be able to bypass that strait, you have to go and take a very longer route, and that's increased cost of transportation and cost of freight. So that is the cost of the matter. And for me, I'm not sure that place will be closed. Okay, I think like 2 days ago I saw America telling China that China should not allow Iran to close that. And I'm thinking that but the latest information I have is that there seems to be a ceasefire agreement holding between Israel and Iran.
Yeah, talking about that, Mr. Aseda, I'm talking about that. A BBC report just came in. Israel and Iran have agreed, according to the US, to a ceasefire. Yes. I just got that update now, that the ceasefire has been reached between Israel and Iran.
That's the update. So for me, I think there's a lot that is at stake, than one country or two countries or one rogue country like Yemen closing that pass for everybody. And I think that they're going to solve that problem as quickly as they can. However, for me, like we said, these are issues that are happening in the international market. The Nigerian government should do everything, because these issues will continue to arise. The issue of Iran developing a nuclear weapon has been on for decades, and the world had been on their neck trying to get them to not go ahead with that, so that they do not have it. And if they do have it, is going to cause a lot of instability in that region, and of course that past is also there in that region, and it's going to affect everybody. It's not something that we want to have done. So, however, I'm telling you that the bombing of the nuclear sites in Iran is not enough. It's not going to be a deterrent. They are still going to continue to try to do it. So what we're saying basically is that this will continue to be issued. This issue will continue to linger and to fester over time. This, we have not heard the last of it. Absolutely. And by long shot, no, not by long shot. So as far as this is concerned, these issues will continue to grow. It will continue to be there, the issue, the unrest in the Middle East will continue to fester because of the acrimony and the hatred that is flowing around in that region until I don't know when until that is, I don't think it will be solved anytime soon. So what that means is that the Nigerian government need to find a way, and I'm telling you, look, I'm hearing news about Africa, or let me say, I'm paying more attention to what's going on in the African region more than before, and I can tell you a lot of things going on. Now, it's unfortunate that right now we do not have a credible leader in Africa.
Oh, all right, Mr. Aseda.
Bring together the African nations to be able to put themselves together and insulate themselves against the rubbish that's going on in the international market and in the international arena. So we need to be able to do that. And I'm hoping, I was hoping for the Rwandan president to be able to stand up, of course, but lately now he has gotten himself quagmired with crisis in Congo DR. Even their own Committee of Nations around that region is like he's alienated from the rest of them. How can such a person be able to put Africa together? So we're looking at different people to be able to put African. It's unfortunate that at this time in the history of Nigeria, we cannot have a leader that can put. Of course, Nigeria is divided and not together. Under the present administration, we have not even had a leader in Nigeria in a very long time to be able to put Nigeria together. If you have to put Nigeria together, then of course you need to talk about the ECOWAS, and then of course the broader AU. So we're having a big issue in Africa, and it's affecting everybody. But I believe that if we can put our hearts together, then we can get things done, and we can see see Nigeria and the rest of Africa being protected from all the ulabalos in the world politics.
All right, Mr. Aseda, you've said it all. Now, talking about insulating ourselves from global events such that it doesn't disrupt our economy anytime there's any shake-up globally. You mentioned cases like countries like Iran, countries like Qatar, countries like Libya, how they are doing well, their citizens are doing well. These are oil-rich nations, and they are subsidizing as a result of their crude production. They are subsidizing a lot of things for their citizens. They are doing well. Iran, Libya, you mentioned, even United Arab Emirates. I've been to the United Arab Emirates. I've been to Dubai. I've seen firsthand what the citizens there enjoy. Now, Nigeria is an oil-rich state. The leaders of the United Arab Emirates, they've said it before and again that our problem here is corruption. Mr. Aseda, we have everything it takes, okay, to be prosperous as a nation. We have everything. So let's look at this from this simplistic approach, Mr. Aseda. It will take government's time. You said perhaps 2 months for them to fix this problem. But rest assured, Mr. Aseda, it will take time to fix this. Selling the refineries, getting competent people. You talked about technical competence. It will take time to finalize all those deals and for us to be independent as a nation. But in the meantime, since we have the resources, we have the natural resources, we have the crude, and we have one of the largest refineries in sub-Saharan Africa, Dangote Refinery, 650,000 barrel per day capacity refinery. Can't we just be simplistic for once? This is just common sense, Mr. Aseda. Don't you think, as some experts will argue, that why not supply this guy with unlimited crude? Just give, for now, like you said, there's a monopolistic tendency there if continued, but for now, can't we just refine locally, make sure it gets the crude and distributes to Nigeria, reducing pump price? Because if Dangote is not importing any crude, if it's not importing any fuel from the US, it wouldn't be increasing gantry prices. So don't you think that might be a very good option for us now, pending when our government will fix the public refineries?
All right.
Mr. Aseda, are you still there with us?
I think we try and work with the connection, you know. That's the downside. The downside of technology.
Absolutely.
And I feel he should answer that question.
Oh, okay. We hope we will reestablish connection. But again, Femi, just looking at it sincerely, if you go to some of this, if you see what citizens in these other countries enjoy, even Libya before the whole crisis, they were doing fine. Gaddafi himself said he cannot be enjoying and see a Libyan citizen suffering. That every Libyan family must have at least a car. That there is no way he will have a car and a family in Libya will not have a car. It was, I mean, he was that passionate about his people. Go to places like Qatar, go to Doha, see what's going on. Go to Dubai in the UAE, go to Deira. These guys are doing well for their people because they have Saudi Arabia, because they have the resources. Now we have the resources. The leaders in the UAE, they've blamed our leaders in Nigeria that the only problem we have is corruption. So I'm just thinking, and I really wanted him to address it.
The UAE should not even tell us. We know. The Nigerians know.
So why come? So Femi, even if we don't sing,
the oil naturally should be a blessing. To everybody.
So my point is, Femi, even if we don't like Dangote as a person, he has the capacity to solve the problems now. That's the fact.
I think these are the questions that will
that's what I wanted him to attend to. Well, that's the fact on ground.
We'll keep asking these questions.
The fact on ground.
You know, because that's why we are here, to see it as it is. And of course, it's not just even about, and you said it, it's not about Dangote. It's a fact that we hold this nation a duty responsibility. There is enough to go around.
Absolutely.
We should be fine. Not everybody will be Dangote kind of rich. No, but the basics of life should be able to be taken care of, at least in education, at least in health, at least in infrastructure and all of those things. And we should not see the construction of roads as the eighth wonder of the world. Anytime the politicians brandish that.
That's why I said it's embarrassing. Yes, roads, just to campaign with roads. I mean,
we should. It's the new law that we have found ourselves.
Absolutely, it's so embarrassing.
I guess that's the much we can take today. Big shout out to our guest. You almost called him a doctor the other time.
Okay,
maybe one day very soon. Just say Mourinho. Anytime I mention his name, I usually remember a special one. Jose Mourinho as well. Jose Aseda, not Jose Mourinho. This time, an investment banker and economic analyst. Thank you very much. And of course, everyone that has worked with us today on this particular asset production team. And you, distinguished viewers, thank you very much. You are still live. And of course, on our YouTube channel, our Western Spring TV, you have access to many programs, exciting programs, especially here on Morning Spring. Femi Ojo is my name. God bless Nigeria. Please, in everything you do today, stay alive.
And of course, to you, our distinguished viewers from all over the world, thank you for joining us once again on Morning Spring. And this morning, I am calling out Nigerian leaders again, like I've always done. I used to call you out on my radio show, Forward Nigeria in Abuja. You have no excuse not to serve Nigeria right. We have all it takes. We have the resources. We have no excuse to be hungry as Nigerians. All we need to do is to apply common sense and be accountable. So please fix the upstream and downstream sector of Nigeria. Global crisis shouldn't be affecting us as a people because we have all it takes. We have the crude, we have the refinery. Let us refine. Let's make life easy for ourselves. And that's just common sense. Maker Daniel is my name. Join us again tomorrow for a fresh edition of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Do have a wonderful day.